Thank you very much for the kind introduction and for the honor of being here today. 100 years after the fateful days of August 1914, we are reminded of how often France has been on the front lines of the fight for liberty and how great the sacrifice has been. And now you are there again. I am proud that our countries have led the effort to stop the mullahs from obtaining nuclear weapons. And it would be a good policy if the only weapon that Iran threatened the world was an atomic weapon. And it would be a good policy if the only threat was in the future. But the fact is, Iran is waging war against the world every day, and it isn't waiting for nuclear weapons. It has waged war against its own people, consuming thousands of lives for 30 years. It is waging war against the people of Syria, innocent people in Africa. It has consumed thousands of lives in Iraq. Iran is at war with the civilized world every single day. Those who believe in appeasement of the mullahs need to begin to deal with reality. They're not interested in negotiating. They're not interested in accommodation. They're not interested in peace. They have said it. We have only to listen. Every nation will make its own decision and take a stand. I join Mrs. Rajavi in congratulating the people of France for uniquely having the courage in Africa to take a stand. If France stands alone in the fight against terror, France stands in good company. In my country, as in yours, a broad coalition has formed in support of the MEK. Not simply because it is a good alternative to the mullahs in Iran, but for a better reason. It is the only alternative. The mullahs have destroyed all internal opposition. What the world community needs to do is to get behind an opposition group that has the means, the leadership, the resources, that is willing to make the sacrifices to destroy the regime and build a democratic Iran. As I look at the alternatives, it is not that I see a few. It is not that there are many. But that there is one, the MEK. And for that reason, and for that reason alone, in my country as in yours, there is a rising chorus of support for the MEK to continue its fight for a free and democratic Iran and end this regime in Tehran now. Today, the road to a free Iran leads through Baghdad. Because when the history is written of a free Iran, what happened last week will be seen as a seminal moment and an important battle. The 7 who died were not simply civilians killed by accident. They were soldiers in the fight to free their country. And they were killed purposefully. But the attack was not on them alone. Camp Liberty was to be protected by the United Nations. The attack on liberty was an attack on the United Nations, its members, the permanent members, the Security Council, France, the United States, Britain, Russia, China, and every nation that sat on that council and lent its voice to United Nations protection of the people of liberty. They were not attacked. You were attacked. It was the United Nations. And I ask you, where is the outrage by the members of the Security Council that their honor, their commitment, was attacked by the mullahs in Iran and their complicitous benefactors in Baghdad? So today, we demand security for the people of liberty. And we would listen to any idea. The fact is, the Iraqi government has already answered our question. They've at least had the honesty to admit they cannot protect liberty, because it cannot be protected from themselves. In the absence of any idea, I have heard only one. Return the people of liberty to the one place where they can be safe, the homes they built and paid for themselves. Return to Camp Ashraf, where they can live in safety. Before they do, I have no right to speak for the United Nations. I claim no right. But there is one decent thing to be done to all those who listen to our voices today in hospital beds in Baghdad. Let me say to you what the United Nations hasn't had the decency to say for itself. We apologize to all of you who have suffered and died. It shouldn't have happened. You were promised it would not happen. We will not forget that you were let down. And until the people of the United Nations have the decency to apologize to you, we do it for them. We are sorry for your suffering. I know, as simply one supporter of the MEK, we've tried to do everything we can to help. Last month I went to Baghdad because the Iraqi government, the United Nations, told me I was wrong about Camp Liberty and its conditions. So I went to see for myself, but they would not let me in. They've told me I was wrong about the situation in Ashraf, so I went to see for myself, but they would not let me in. They told me that I was misunderstanding the Iraqi government, so I went to speak with them, but they would not meet with me. They told me I was wrong about asking for justice and payment of the property of the people of Camps Liberty and Ashraf to be repaid for their property. So we went to hire lawyers to talk to them, but they would not guarantee their safety. What else would you have us do? Sometimes when some facts are looking you in the face, you just accept reality. The government in Baghdad is not interested in security, it is not interested in safety, it is not interested in justice. If the people of liberty are going to be defended, it will be because the international community decides it will not tolerate their abuse. That is simply the reality of the situation. Finally, I will tell you, in leaving Baghdad, I was not proud to say to myself that when I had been there previously, it was as an American senator supporting a war to end Saddam Hussein with the belief that democracy would be brought to the people of Iraq. $1 trillion later, thousands of American deaths, thousands more maimed, tens of thousands of Iraqis killed. We have produced a government that has sold the sovereignty of its own nation to the mullahs in Iran, complicitous in the murder of innocent people, stealing the liberties of those it was sworn to defend. It's not an easy thing for anyone to admit they're wrong to the extent that it costs human lives. All of us who were responsible for bringing Maliki to power so he could sell out his own country to the mullahs and extend the Iranian war on decency in the world, we were wrong. We were wrong. And those of you in liberty are on the front lines of the consequences of our errors. All we can do is commit ourselves to avenge it, to change the circumstances, and turn the tide back, not simply in Iraq, but all the way to Tehran. For that, you have our lifelong commitment of our honor and our lives. Thank you all, and thank you for the honor of having me here today.